I spent 2 years and £70,000 in mistakes before I actually figured out how this channel actually works. Sugarguard warehouses we never needed, expensive Regress offices, we've got vans, tools we bought, subscriptions, accreditations, platform fees, commissions, things that cost real money and did almost nothing for this business. And honestly, I could have got here without most of it, because the property manager system is what actually changed things. It's what got me from check a trade, one job, one time, to housing associations sending me 10, 20, 50 jobs a month on repeat, and I'm gonna show you all of it. The list building, the email, the follow-up, the phone call, the first meeting, the close, the system that runs itself once it's set up. Everything I'm about to show you is real, because I'm running this thing right now. You can take this and use it today. Last month alone, we invoiced £110,000 to one single housing association, one client. I never knocked on their door, I'd never been to their office, and the first time I contacted them was a single cold email, which got me invited on their PSL, which means their preferred supplier list. And most builders, they don't know this channel exists. The ones who do, they don't know how to work it. But I'm gonna show you the exact system I use to find property managers, how to get them on the phone, how to convert them into clients that send you jobs every single week for free in the next minutes. It's not a theory or something I read somewhere, it's actually what I built from scratch over the last 2 years. So stay with me because this one is worth it. Right, I'll be walking you through each section so you can see the system and not just the idea. One, who property managers are and why they're the best client you are not pitching. Two, how to build your list from scratch the right way. Then three, the cold email that actually gets replies, the structure, the subject line, literally all of it. And then four, the follow-up, because one email doesn't work and most people, they quit after one. Then five, we've got the phone call. When you make it, what you say and how you keep it from dying in the first 20 seconds. Then six, we've got the first meeting, what to walk in with and what to never say. And then seven, winning the job, the first job, and actually making sure there's gonna be a second one. And then eight, how you actually turn a one-off job into a rolling contract. Cool? Let's get into it. Now, before jumping into it, I wanna show you what you should be striving for and some of our results and why this system actually works. So we should be striving to get from cold email to reply, set up a meeting, book in a trial job as we call it, and then once we prove ourselves, to get to have a rolling contract with these property managers. We've got 110K invoiced to one housing association in one single month, and for each property manager that we work with, we usually get 10 to 30 jobs every single month on a recurring basis. Now, these are some of our wins. In April, we invoiced 210K. Then we've got different wins, such as, this is what we strive to get to a point where we receive emails on a weekly basis saying that we've got detail passed down, they're interested in our services, work on different projects, and then set up as a supplier on their system, love to work with you in the future, blah, stuff like that. Yeah, this is what we strive. Then let's understand why property managers. This is very important. Why property managers? Because we could be fighting 8, 10, 20 different contractors going after the same homeowner on platforms like Check a Trade, Bark, Rated People, Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace. We put ourselves in a position where we chase the client. That's where we get, at best, one customer who gets us one job, one small job, which in the very, very best case scenario, it turns into a bigger job. It's still one invoice. At best, we get a recommendation. Someone's gonna call us after a few months saying that they got our number from XYZ. This is what we don't want. This is what we don't like. This is not predictable. But property manager relationships, on the other hand, they offer us recurring revenue. Because one client can get us tons of jobs, monthly revenue, years of collaborations. Let's understand what property managers are. Property managers, they are very related to letting agents, housing associations, facilities managers. They all come from the same bubble. These are people who manage tens of properties, hundreds, sometimes thousands even. Clients like Sanctuary, Peabody, L&Q, they manage thousands, even tens of thousands of properties. They have residential and commercial properties. And these properties, they always get to have a need of repairs such as plumbing, electrics, refurbs, kitchens, bathrooms, groundworks. The sweet thing about them is that the budget, it doesn't come from their own pocket. They have a budget to spend on a monthly basis. So if you befriend someone from this corporate environment, a manager who decides on who is going to be the contractor awarded to carry out these works for them, that's where you're gonna have a flow of jobs, right? Simple. Now, the problem is builders, they don't know how to pitch them properly. They always need reliable contractors. The channel is undersaturated. Nobody is running a proper outreach at volume. What this means is that they don't know how to approach these property managers, how to approach these decision makers. Even though builders have a huge chance to get inside of these circles, but yet no one knows how to approach them properly. Now, what building the list means? There are 6 sources, they all work, and I'm gonna start with the best one. The best one is email scraping. What this means is you run a Google search or a LinkedIn search for decision makers. There are different softwares out there you can use to scrape. It's called scraping. You collect data and then you list them into an Excel sheet. From here, you could also target with cold calling from web searches. You can do scraping for email addresses. Then you can also include in the same session phone numbers. So you do both emailing and calling as well. Then we've got different platforms where they list properties such as Rightmove, Zoopla, On the Market. There you can find active agents. You have Facebook and WhatsApp groups. These are groups where you join and you build these connections with landlords and investors. Then you've got Companies House. There you can filter down by property management and the postcode, so it's something nearby. And then LinkedIn. As we said, this is where you can find the best decision makers. If you know how to narrow down, how to filter out those people that actually manage those properties and they have the last word in deciding who's going to be the contractor carrying out the works, then you know who to approach. Now, what you need to do is once you scrape, you need to record the company name, contact name plus title, email, phone number, portfolio size if you can tell by what they have, and the services that they need. These are info that you're going to use once you're gonna approach them. Then on Companies House, you need to look for people who have a smaller structure. 1 to 5 employees is the sweet, because these operators are less likely to have a structure where they have an abundance of contractors and they need reliable contractors. These are the same ones who can offer house refurbishment jobs, larger projects, because they are in there. It's their bread and butter. However, they don't have those reliable connections. And then on Facebook and WhatsApp groups, you can't pitch immediately. You gotta like sweet talk them a bit, get to be known in those groups that you carry out works and you can be trustworthy. Try to find and answer questions, then you can reach out directly to these people. Now the target is getting to have 50 to 100 leads before creating an outreach campaign. As you can see, our team landed the first project manager client within the first week of running this system. That's why I'm saying if you could have on a weekly basis brand new leads answering your campaigns, then you know that the system is working. Now we've got the cold email. The goal of the email is to get a reply and then start a conversation. Subject lines are the most important. For example, you could use something as neighbor contractors located in X, somewhere close by. This is something that you would open. It's something friendly. It doesn't seem salesy. And it also makes them wonder, what is this? What sort of neighbor contractors? What do they want? Do we owe them anything? So they would naturally open this email and try to target somewhere midweek, because these property managers, they are opening their emails mostly in the middle of the week. This has been studied by us, and at the start of the day. So try to focus on the morning times. Now the structure, let's understand the structure. First, you gotta introduce yourself in a very short way. Be specific of your trade and your location, and try not to list too many services that you offer, because they like contractors who are specialized in a few trades. Instead of listing every single trade out there, try to list the ones that you think they are important for this specific client. And it's always good to also add a few past job results. This is what they like. A case study, your accreditations, these they all count. Now, it's also important to show them that you understand who they are. Try to bluff and list a few of the problems that you think that they could have. You could specify problems such as, we've seen that you manage properties down on the coast, meaning that we know that these properties could have mold and damp in them. Boom. You can target them on mold and damp. Now, the offer, it shouldn't be oversold. It should be more like knocking on the door and convincing them to get into a conversation and potentially getting them to book a test job. Then in the end, it's best if you close down the email with a question, something simple, just so you get them to reply yes. they are more prone to reply to the next email as well if they did to this first one with something simple. What you don't want to do, you don't want to send long emails, yeah? List of services, stuff like that, they don't like it. If it's like a template, they won't reply to it. This is what you want. Thank you for your company overview. That's very helpful, yeah? Based on the services and experience, I believe blah blah could be the best suited for planned works, void refurbs, kitchens, bathrooms, delivered by contractors such as, these are different contractors they wanted us to work underneath. That's it, they wanted our confirmation to kick off things. Okay, another email. Thanks for the email. I'll get my team to send over a few inquiries. Then we can have a catch up. Stuff like this. Another one. An inquiry, yeah? Painting and decoration. 300 documents. It's a huge job. We've been offered to carry it out. Then the follow up. This is very important. The follow up, it's crazy. Most of the relationships, they start from the follow up. And this is why it's funny. Most people, they stop at the first email. They didn't reply, that's it. They are not interested. But that's not true. Emails, they get lost. Or maybe they jump into something, they get called to a meeting. You should always follow up. As you can see, based on a follow-up, 20-second, 2 minutes later they reply, "Hi Rob, thanks, can you send over the copies of your insurance docs? I'll get you added onto the system. Do you work on WhatsApp? Blah, blah, blah." Now, how should the timeline look? Day 1, you send the first email. On the 4th day, you send proof, something related to their issue again. Day 8, you try to target a different angle. Day 12, you ask a direct question, something like, "Look, I'm gonna close this down. We've got one spot available for this month." Try to implement a bit of fear of missing out, something like, "This is the last email I'm gonna send you." Even if it's not the last one, you can still bluff them a bit and make them feel like they're going to miss out on something. And this is the breakup email, the last one. "Okay, I promise you this is the last one. I know I spammed you a few emails, but this one, I swear, is going to be the last one." After this, I always include, after a month or two, another email, which is not here, but my sequence is 7 to 8 emails, more or less. Because you never know. Things change. Contractors, they get pushed away. You never know, a month or two from now on, they may have a spot for you. Now, on the day 4, you reference the first email and some proof element, okay? The rules, each follow-up is a new email, not a reply chain. Each one is different. You never say just following up. And you should track everything with Strake for Gmail or a mail track. You can see the open rates, you can see if they actually open those emails or not, the reply rates, and also which subject line gets the most opens. Right, after this comes the phone call. The phone call is after the follow-up, after the second or the third follow-up. You never cold call before emailing, because once you send the emails, you have a reason to have that conversation with them. This is simple. You send those emails, you call them, you say, "Look, we've been emailing you for the last week or so. We were calling about the maintenance cover for your properties in X area, and I just wanted to make sure it actually reached the right person." They may say it didn't. They may say it did, but they are on a holiday leave. However, you have to have everything ready. The trade that you're covering. On the phone, a close can happen as well. So you should push for a test job. You can ask them directly. That's what I like to do. I always ask them, "Listen, mate, I'm here, I'm next to you, I do this. Just give me something that you have at hand. A simple job, I'll prove myself." And they usually give me something to price up straight away. They're gonna say, 10 minutes away from you, I've got this job, changing a tap. I say, right, I'll do it for 80 quid, under the market value, just to prove myself. And then I react quickly. You gotta understand their setup as well. Do they have a contractor underneath them? They may have. If they're happy with their contractor, that's okay. You just plant the seed of you being there for the future reference. And then, as well, like I said, you plant the seed of the trial job. If they say yes to a test job, you don't celebrate, okay? You get a specific type of job and a timeline. Then you follow up within 2 hours. You push them on WhatsApp as much as you can, and on emails as well. Get them to send you the info straight away. Pictures, you quote, you went out, that's it. Test job done, you've got a client. Then the first meeting. This is the qualification meeting for both sides, yeah? This is where you're gonna meet them on a Zoom call. I really recommend you doing it on a Zoom call. You see their faces, they get to know you, not necessarily going out there and meeting them in person. Obviously, it adds more value. If you could go out and actually meet them, that's even better. Now, here you bring as much info of you and your company as you can. You get their pain points and you never say these things. Then you close it down. You offer a test job and give them a clear next step. There you go. You can rewatch all this information. The goal is actually creating the trust and booking in that trial job. Now, once you actually want that job, this is the test. They're gonna be watching everything. You need to get the scope, confirmed in writing. Then you got your subcontractor booked and the ETA, the estimated time arrival of the subcontractor, sent to the property manager. They pay attention to these things. Then you check in once you arrived. You can send another message. Completion photos and evidence. So you always ask for photos from before and photos during and on the completion of the job. And you also send the invoice on the same day. After this, you can ask for the review. They love this because they will see the whole process from beginning all the way to the end. Now, it may happen that something goes wrong. The subcontractor lets you down or the job goes left. This is where you need to communicate. You shouldn't hide any sort of the issues. You shouldn't hide anything. You should take responsibility and they will respect you more even if you mess up. Everyone understands once we are working, things could go south, but it's your responsibility to resolve it and be transparent with the issue. The property manager will remember how the problem was handled more than the problem itself. Now, one off to recurring revenue. This is the trigger is after 2 to 3 successful jobs, you can raise the contract conversation. Once they actually trust you, you can use these conversation openers that we've done X amount of jobs for you, completed on time, blah, blah, they are happy. Let's set up a formal agreement. You can set up service level agreements for response times, for example, quoting within 24 hours. All these things, they make them trust you more. And you also ask to be the first call for X trade in this area, a minimum volume commitment where possible. So this is also the same time you ask for the payment terms. You ask them to pay in maximum 30 days, not 60. Many of them prefer 45 to 60 days. This is what we don't like. If they can pay straight away after the job is done, that's even better. We've been working with property managers like that, and it just helps the cash flow so much more. Now, the CRM tracking is once a project manager is contacted. Every job goes into the CRM pipeline, yeah? Tagged to that property manager with the invoice and the amount and payment status tracked. This is how one property manager becomes 10K per month of recurring revenue over time. It should look like this. You send a cold email, you get them reply, you get the first meeting, test job, 2 to 3 jobs, contract conversation, and you've got that relationship secured. This is how you get these sort of results. Wish you all the best and I hope this one helped you. Right, that's the full system. You find the right property managers, you reach out in a way that doesn't sound like every other contractor, follow up properly a few times, get them on the phone, win the first meeting, deliver the first job like your reputation depends on it, because it actually does. And then you turn that thing into a rolling contract. That's what we want. Most builders, they never get past step 1 because they don't know where to look or what to say. Now you do. If anything there raised a question, drop it in my DMs, drop it in the comments, and I'll read them and I'll answer them, yeah? Let's go, yalla!